prior to attending Noble Academy, I attended the Greensboro Montessori School, which is right up the street. And now I attend Greensboro College, and I'm an education major. And I actually went to UNCG for a little bit, and then I transferred to GC. And so I'm still in school, and my diagnosis, I have a learning disability with math, so, and a generalized anxiety disorder. So.
I went to computer law school prior to going to Noble Academy. I came in the 9th grade and finished out. From here, I went to Michael University. I graduated in 2011. I work at the Greensboro newspaper, advertisement sales. I have a learning disability in math.
And I went to B'nai Shalom in 4th and 5th grade, and then I came here to what was then Guilford Day School for 6th through 12th grade. Graduated in 2005. Went to college at UNCG and got 2 undergraduate degrees, and now I'm back here to teach. I have ADHD and had a learning disability in math that I got taken off my IEP in my senior year.
I started in 6th grade. I came from Jefferson Elementary, which was a lovely public elementary school. They're not always that good. The teachers I had, I was fortunate to have. However, I would have been going to go to middle and on to Western, and we decided that maybe I wanted to try Noble Academy instead. I have ADHD. I worked last year, my senior year, and I got a scholarship, so I'm not working this year. I also I'm going to UNCG, by the way, because that was why I got the scholarship. So I was like, okay. And I had severe ADHD when I came here, and it's not a problem anymore so much.
We invited Maxine and Ann as well, just for a parent perspective, so you guys can chime in at any time. What was your transition like from Noble Academy to college, and how did Noble Academy or Guilford Day School prepare you for your college courses?
Well, my transition from Noble Academy to UNCG, I mean, if you look at the sheer size, it was pretty big, difference. You're going from classes here, 10, 11 kids, to lecture halls of 250, maybe 300. So that definitely was a shock, but in terms of how Noble Academy prepared me for college, definitely the test-taking skills that I learned, to not procrastinate and to get your work done before, 10 o'clock at night before it's due, and to study for test before the night before the test. And besides test-taking skills, definitely like note-taking. I feel like I was really prepared to handle the college course load of note-taking, because it's a lot. And knowing not to have to write everything down, because sometimes you feel like you have to write down everything the professor's saying or the teacher. But obviously it's not possible. So I quickly realized that the note-taking strategies and test-taking strategies that I learned here helped me in college.
Well, my transition going from a small high school to High Point was probably 8 to 10 people here versus my largest class, probably 20 to 30. Really helped me with the time management, to prioritize what needs to be done first. And like Ryan said, a lot of the note taking, what to take down and not, what to leave out. And just to really ask questions when I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. Though I chose to go to a residential college at UNCG with about 150 students in it, because I liked the community aspect that Noble Academy had to offer when I was here in high school. So I went to Warren Ashby Residential College for 4 years before I went back for another couple of years after that. But I feel like the biggest help to me has been in
Initially, I found myself missing. I still miss my teachers that I had here because you had some of them for 2-3 years. You saw them all the time. When I got there, I was nervous at first because I thought that college was going to be professors were going to be very professional, and they were going to be pounding you and looking down with their nose at you and lecturing you, and they would just expect this much. And when I actually went into the same program that Eric went to, it's part of UNCG, but what happens is a lot of the professors that teach classes, large 200, 300 people classes, will actually teach the same class in basically it's a dorm, and there's classrooms in one level of the dorm, and they'll teach that, and there's maybe 20 to 30 people in each class, and they know if you're not there, so they can, if you don't do your work, you're in trouble. But it was able to, just like at Noble Academy, I was able to more personally get some feedback from them. I have some flyers, and you can feel free to look at them afterwards. I'll pass them out if you want to know more about that. But also, Noble Academy, a lot of the testing. I had Mrs. Claire Eagle right here ask for English, and if you had Claire and then Mrs. Hughes, and I also had Jaren, she's not here anymore, but they prepared you because all the writing that I had to do that no one wanted to do, but they expected more, and if you didn't put enough, well, then you didn't get the grade you wanted. That writing, I got accustomed here at Noble Academy to put more than what was required. I know when I get feedback from some of my friends who went to public schools that, it's the tests are, did you memorize this? And circle the answer and forget about it the next month. But what we did a lot here was what the material that we were learning could be the same material. What can you take from that material, and how can you use that material to develop your thoughts, and how can you put that on paper clearly versus just spitting back out a fact. And I found that a lot of the professors that I'm taking, especially if you're taking political and history and English classes, I have an entire folder here of papers that we had to write and prepare. I was prepared for that because here at Noble, if there was something in my writing that didn't work, or that was not, instead of just a mark, and this is wrong, and I don't like this, you need to do this here. If you have a question, I was able to go to my teacher and say, what should I be doing? And can you help me to understand what I need to be doing in order to make my writing better? So by the time I graduated, the papers I wrote in my college, my English 101, basically first semester, they weren't that hard. And I did the writing, and these teachers prepare you to do that critical thinking that the college professors expect of you. The critical thinking that sadly is not the main, I want to say, I am generalizing, but it's not always the most important thing in many public schools. I was prepared. That's how the Academy prepared me for a lot of the courses.
I think I want to mention something here about the Warren actually residential college, which Sean has the brochures for. And I think what I want to mention is that Sean's advisor is right in the dorm. So if he needs to see her about anything, and I mean about anything, socially and academically, she is there to see the students. She has an open door policy, so they feel comfortable going in there and maybe crying about their breakup, or going in there and saying, I failed the test, what can I do? And she's been there for years. Her name is Jeannie Arrow. We'd be glad to give you her name because she'd be happy to talk to anybody that is thinking about this type of program in the future. So having that advisor right there where he can just go and talk about what he's taken, because now he just registered for next year. So his registration is with her. She's fully aware of what he's taking, what he needs to take, and just a private meeting with him, and they decide together where he's going. So it's for the parent, it's a very comforting situation, which is also what we found here. Because there were times here when I would talk to Mrs. Abel or Mrs. Caligieri and say, you think maybe we ought to think about this class instead of this class? And many times those discussions led to Sean taking the right thing at Noble for his future. So I just wanted to mention that that's out there if you are thinking about UNCG. I also want to tell you, and I'll just put this in now, and if anybody wants to ask me questions about it, we looked at a lot of schools.
Yeah, and they were mostly, there's all this pressure to go to Duke or Wake Forest or University Chapel Hill or University of Charlotte, and all these major universities were all being technicians and engineers and doctors go. If you're not, I mean, they're great and they have some great programs. And if that's the field that you want to go into, some of those schools are designed or geared towards people of those majors. But understand that you're going to a school that a lot of people are trying to go into, and you're a number there. They're big schools. Professors are teaching large classes, and at the end of the day, you're another person that was sitting in one of those classes that I had to grade. You have to grade a paper. And I looked at schools like UNCG, and there are options in those schools, and you can go and visit and then ask about things. Like I found out from Eric Gallman and looked into it more. There are different programs in community colleges on some of these campuses that if you want a certain environment, you can make it work. I looked at Elon, that was good. I got in there, almost went there, but it was expensive. And then again, that's a private college. That's not always an option for some people, because they are more expensive. But if you look around at different things, I looked at Catawba, a lot of the liberal arts colleges have smaller classes and encourage the discussion-based thing. And they're actually, the public university is the one I'm going to now, is starting to change toward it. It's becoming a trend, this more in-depth, instead of the general eds that have been traditional from when you all were in college and my grandparents were in college. They want the critical thinking skills because they want the future, the youth of tomorrow, and the professors talk about it. They want us to be able to know how to make decisions in the right way and be able to take information that we have and apply it to everyday life. And a lot of these discussion-based courses that I saw in a lot of these other colleges were things I felt comfortable with. If I can talk to my professor and he knows who I am, that's good. And you don't have to go to a giant college in order to get a good education.
And I also want to tell you that I think some people get the idea that because you come from a small school, that possibly they think, if you come from a great big school and you're rated, and that school's rated high within that community. Sean's attendance at Noble Academy in no way affected any of his applications. We talked about that today. Coming from a small school was not at all a detriment in any of these colleges.
No, they didn't care what. You could go, you pay a ton of money to go to a really fancy school. They don't care. They want to look at your GPA and they want to look at your extracurricular activities. If you all don't have, I'm not saying you have to enroll in soccer and baseball and Boy Scout and chess club all at once, but if you want to do like something every other weekend, I did some things, mission trips with my church or some soup kitchen stuff, and things that I did after school here, those things that you do outside of classes, they really put emphasis on. And so the Nova Academy offers some things like that. And, they don't care what school we go to. They want to see what we were doing in school and also how well you were doing.
Anybody else add to your talk us through
that's where I got the idea, and I was so excited I told my theater teacher that, I might want to go into teaching theater. And so she supported that, so I was looking around for a good theater education program. And Elon had a musical theater program that seemed very interesting, very intense. And UNCG had a theater education specifically program, which seemed like a better fit for me anyway. So I got on the waiting list at Elon, and UNCG accepted me, and I decided I would just go to UNCG because they seemed to have more specifically what I wanted. And at that point, I was also considering English, but I didn't know how that would play in just yet. But I knew that UNCG had a very strong, has a very strong education program. So that's what really made me decide that's where I wanted to go.
I looked at several small colleges. I had an academic scholarship to Gardner-Webb. Went out there and toured that school. It's pretty small, like an Elon and a High Point. I toured Elon as well, but I chose High Point because it's a very up-and-coming university. They have a really well-rounded communication program, which I majored that and graduated with a degree in public relations. And just from being local and just a small classroom setting, that's what made me comfortable with choosing one to High Point.
I attended UNCG and didn't exactly, I toured UNCG, and I toured High Point, and I toured Elon, and I think I only submitted applications to High Point and UNCG, and I had no clue what I wanted to do coming out of high school, so I chose UNCG because it was public and it was cheaper, and I figured it would just take some gen eds and figure out what I wanted to do a couple of years. So I really had no idea what I wanted to do coming out of high school.
Can you talk a little bit about your transition socially, because Nova Academy is so small and all you went to much larger schools. What was that like for you?
Okay.
Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't even an issue, maybe it wasn't even an issue at all, right?
I was worried at first. I had that doubt in the back of my mind. But what I realized was I liked high school. A lot of my friends that go to some of the other schools said they hated high school and they couldn't wait to get to college. I was kind of like, this is over, and I'm going to have to start paying my own bills and stuff. but in reality, while I was here, there were really 14 seniors my graduating year, and we knew each other well. We knew what would tick each other off. We knew what people's strengths were in classes and who to go to if you needed help in a certain class, who was paying attention in class you could go to get those extra notes, and who also would have, who would be fun to hang out with. I ended up interacting with all of my peers, and we were all different in different ways. And in public school, we might not have known each other because I know firsthand my brother goes to a large public school, and I have friends in my church and things that go to public schools, and they talk about it all the time. And not just public schools, but larger schools like Bishop McGinnis and things like that. There are going to be these groups, social groups, that depending on, some people find that they find their place there. On the other hand, there's this pressure to join one of those groups versus being an individual. And at Noble Academy, I was able to decide, okay, I can hang out with these other people, and they're all a little different than me. So-and-so likes to hang out on weekends and play video games, and so-and-so likes to study together, and I can be able to do both of that and not let it affect what other people perceive of me, because I dealt with them on a daily basis. Another thing that, when I got to college, it's not like I have to go and search for these certain people, otherwise I'll not have friends. You have to find, I'm in the dorm I'm in, talk to everybody, and know that they're not going to be exactly like you, and they don't have to be to get along with them. it was not a problem for me. And that's another thing, in being with just 14 people, if one of them I didn't get along with all the time, you can't just avoid them. You have to learn. I would have to learn we all learned there was some drama in my ninth grade year. After that, we learned to deal with our problems and resolve them in a more civil way, because we have to deal with each other. You can't just ignore, and you're going to deal with that all through life. In college, you're going to have professors you may not get along with. You might have a roommate. You might have a boss that hates your guts, or you might have a friend that's a Democrat. Or vice versa. And you're like, oh my God, I can't deal with this person. But these were 14 people, and I knew them very well. They weren't all just like me, but we got along, and we did not have, when I'm moving out to the real world, I have to deal with people that are different than me. It wasn't hard, because I knew how to deal with. It sounds weird because there were so few of us here, but it actually made it very easy to go out into this community, into my UNCG campus, because I know how to deal with all sorts of people.
I felt like my social experience at college was mostly very similar to my experience at Noble Academy, in the sense that by the time I was done, I got along with everybody, and I had a few good friends. And I feel like that was the best I could hope for. My dad would often say to me, "Why are you having so much fun at college? We didn't have that much fun in my day." And I said, "Well, I got lucky." And it's true, I think. But I did learn a lot of good social skills. Despite being on the stage a lot, I was kind of shy and didn't always introduce myself to people necessarily. But I learned how to interact with people, and especially people I didn't always get along with or thought didn't behave the right way, which always annoyed me when I was here. But I learned by the end of my junior year to really get along with those people, and my senior group I thought was particularly very tight. My senior class got along really, really well. And then I went to UNCG, and I saw all these people, 150 people in the residential college, and other people who I met from different classes. And I decided to get a little more social, because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, my parents do. So I really, despite having friends here, didn't really get to socialize with them on a daily basis. So I thought, how cool is it that I have a friend who's my next door neighbor? That's really neat. So I got a little carried away my first semester, I think. And it didn't impact my grades, but I was burning the candle at both ends and getting very stressed out. And so I finally returned to the basics, the routine that I had, which was, do my work, find time to socialize after that, etc., etc. And I adjusted, because it was definitely a bigger group of friends that I found waiting for me in college. But it really, when it boils down to it, really just following the same principle of knowing when to work and when to play gets the job done. And I got very lucky, like I said.
Going to the social aspect, I really didn't have any challenges with that, being that I had a really tight group of friends here in school and then at other rival high schools who followed me to my point. My freshman year roommate was Caldwell Academy graduate. We played soccer and basketball against each other, so we knew each other really well. My freshman year, I joined a fraternity. So, doing the teamwork and stuff like that, the team sports here at Noble really helped me to open up and be more outgoing. So I really didn't have any social awkwardness or anything like that going from here to college.
I definitely agree with Will about the sports, because I played sports all 4 years I was in high school here, and that definitely helped me create the friendships friendships and develop relationships with people I probably wouldn't talk to otherwise. So that was good. I always liked athletics. I liked how, you know, there would come people if you weren't as good as the other guy. But in terms of going from here to UNCG, socially, I commuted my freshman year, and so obviously I didn't have the dorm experience like some of these other guys, but I did get involved in campus organizations. I was involved in a religious organization on campus, and just some other clubs and type stuff. And you create a lot of, you know, good friendships, good relationships with people, you know, whether it's volunteering or playing ultimate frisbee or just any type of stuff. So socially it was different, but I developed good relationships, and I still, like, even though I went to a huge school, you know, I still had a close group of friends, you know, 5, 10, 15 people that I hung out with, even though you go to a school that has 20,000 people.
I just wanted to add to that, and I don't know, maybe you want to jump in on this, but the residential college at UNCG, the Warren Ashby Residential College, has some great programs in the dorm, great communities and great committees or clubs for the students. And some of those clubs are also very socially involved. Like, they have a haunted house every year, and usually they pick a charity to donate the money to. Or we have a diversity dinner, various things like that. And you feel very encouraged to play to your strengths. And I feel like thanks to a lot of the social skills that I learned at Noble Academy about how to express those strengths, that I actually created a tradition. I don't know if it's held or not anymore, but I used to host talent nights that were artistic or musical or reciting monologues or whatever people wanted to show. If they wanted to show a sculpture, just whatever they wanted to bring to the table, because I knew all these different people and I got to communicate with all these different people. And I just wanted to give everybody a chance to show something about themselves. So it really turned out to be something wonderful that just took off.
Yeah.
The girls, something with the girls. They have a cooking committee, which and some of the guys are on there too.
There's a service committee, there's an art committee, there's a cooking committee, there's a social justice committee, there's a human relations committee, there's a parlor theater committee, there's a state service committee, a wellness service committee, there's choir committee.
Sounds like our Baptist church.
Exactly. And what these are they're not someone's telling you what to do. You're part of, there's maybe 6, so you have to be in this form. You have to participate in at least one committee. And honestly, one committee is maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. Normally, like after class would be over. Normally they're like 6, 7, or 8 p.m. And you know, you're interacting. So if you want that study time, which a lot of us need, you still are getting, there's an hour or 2 every week where you're interacting with other people that, and in something that you're interested in. And there are options, and they're fun. We're doing things on campus, and it's good balance. It's good.
Can I ask a question on this program? Residential college and everything goes out lunch, and they also have residential college, like assuming, obviously, are there more residential colleges, and also do they, is it a
most people go, they graduate from the college program, and, you know, you got your general eds and some of your major classes out of the way, and you move into another dorm or you move into an apartment or something near campus. Some people do that. It is designed, this community college, and they're actually expanding that. They're actually going to try and, they're shifting, I don't know how they're planning to do it, but they want to try and make all the halls community dorms like that with those activities, because some of the halls, people just don't interact, and they end up instead bringing people home that don't go to college and getting drunk or things and like that. That's not a big problem in my dorm, because you have your friends in the dorm and there's tons of things to do that don't involve just getting drinking and things. Because that's anywhere you go, you're going to have people like that are but in the dorm, that 2-year thing is designed to transition you into, put you in a group of people, make some friends, get an advisor who knows you, figure out, put you in an environment where you can thrive and transition, because that way you don't end up dropping out your first semester because you didn't know how to handle the change. And then you do that you don't have to stay in for 2 years either. Some people decide it's not for them, and they leave after the first semester or second semester, and just go out on the campus. But it's designed to encourage you to thrive. One of the things that it's done for me is a lot of people are taking in my dorm, because some of the classes are taught in the dorm. You need your general eds, which are the English 101, Psych 101, Psychology 101, Communications 101. Those classes will be taught in the dorm, and you and these other people who need the same thing are going to take that class in the dorm, because it's smaller and easier and it's right there. And what happens is, when our test coming up, we have someone to study with right down the hall, and we'll do that several times a week. If we need help, you can go to each other. It's not a competitive thing. Once you're in college, it's we're in this together to see if we can help each other out. And it's not cheating, but studying together and sharing notes, and it ends up actually the scores of some tests in the community dorm are actually higher than a lot than some of the scores, the average score on the main campus. So it has benefits other than just social things. It is good for your academic. It's good, and it's good for your mental health too.
I was going to mention youth center earlier. Yes, there are, and what they're calling them are learning communities. So if you go in knowing you want to be an engineer, you can live in an engineering learning community. So there's a list of those, and you probably have them in that.
Question. And since you said that if you kind of have an idea before you go for like a visit or whatever, instead of just going for a general college visit, because we all know what a dorm looks like, we all know what a cafeteria looks like, can you say, I want to see what geology, just the geology or the geography or whatever it looks like. That's where I want to spend my time. Can you do that at any of these schools?
Yeah, I stayed, actually that was one of the things that I did, I actually give them a chance to talk. But at least I stayed overnight one time last semester in the dorm, 2 other people in the room, went to an event that they were having down in Provo, had some food, and was usually with them. And I liked the atmosphere, I figured out, hey, this is good for me. And, I went to some classes at the other places too, and they were all good, but that made me feel comfortable.
So when you call, how do you set it up?
They'll have people, I think the campus is actually a campus name, like their main office, but if you say specific, admissions office.
Your college asks if you're an ambassador to the university.
Yes.
College ambassador that, and you call the admissions office, tell them your child's interested in. They'll give you a general college tour, then they'll department, you need to the department head, whatever department it is. They'll give you a whole tour and then steer you the direction you want to go. And every university has what they call ambassadors. You go to the college of admissions to go to do that.
Going back to your social transition, if I'm hearing correctly, I'm thinking that you all were okay here at Noble as far as you all had friends before you transitioned away. What about a child that doesn't have any friends or doesn't make friends? How is that going to affect them? I mean, it sounds like this residential college might sound a little better suited for someone that doesn't really know how to make friends.
That's one of the things they did was they took us, we got there 3 days early before classes started, and they said, here's the weekend. They had people who were sophomores instead of freshmen that were there for a year, organize activities, take us around the campus, make us interact with each other, and we got a sense, play games together and things. Just we didn't have classes yet, so okay. We ended up interacting with each other, and that was easy.
So I think what you're asking is maybe somebody with Asperger's, say, that doesn't have the ability to make friends. They're just kind of to themselves. I know there's one person in your dorm.
Yeah.
And I see the other kids interacting with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so rewarding to see that. It's because he is being brought in socially. They are not ignoring him because he's more quiet. They're pulling him in.
And he has severe Asperger's, but we've looked at it, but he actually hangs out with my friends a lot. And it's not, it all depends upon who the people are that they're around. You can't say that definitely they're going to make friends. You never know what group of people are going to end up in the same spot. But I feel like there's opportunities to, and there's other things outside of the dorm too. There are other events and groups, social groups that meet on campus that if they have an interest in chess or something, they can go and there's a mutual interest right there. So.
Well, I know you sit here, there's 14 of them that are together every day, but those same 14. So even if the classes are going to be smaller at residential college, it's still going to be a lot different than being in the same 14.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to be around people. I'm a very to myself kind of person, but the motto at that residential college is you never live alone. And it's very true. You have to learn that there are other people around, and you learn how to interact with them sheerly by having to be around them, having to talk with them day after day. And it's a wonderful experience.
Reasonable
UNCG, he got to go to that office, and they had little tiny rooms that you take your test in. And if the professors did what they were supposed to do and getting the test where it was supposed to be, which he had a couple of issues with that, he would arrive to take the test wasn't there, even though, he had done his part. But other than that, it's great. I mean, they really come through with providing what they need. So I was happy. He was happy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely, it's all on you. I think you had to submit your request for a test 7 days before, so you have to be on top of your schedule. Make sure when your exams are, because if you don't get it, that's 7 business days, not weekends included, then you won't get extended time, or you won't get separate setting. But in terms of the professors, most of them were pretty accommodating. In terms of awkwardness, when I first was there freshman year, it was kind of awkward because you have to actually we had to actually go up to them and give them our documentation, and people were sort of looking at it down, and it was kind of everybody's why are you talking? But then they changed it over so everything was emailed, so I could just email my request for accommodations to them, so it was less face to face and more. It's more of the anonymity to it, which I liked and also it was easier in terms of your scheduling to get your accommodations in. But in terms of once you took your test, I would just take it. It would just be in a sealed envelope, and then you would just take it directly to your professor's office, and that was a pretty simple process. So, but sometimes when you you would think the test would be there and it wouldn't be there, but that happens anywhere with so many students. You can't always be.
On the subject of self-advocacy, I do want to say I had a very similar experience because I went to UNCG. I talked with the Office of Disability Services, and I worked with them pretty much all the way through the 6 years I spent at UNCG. I actually got to the point where I didn't need to take some of my tests in there because I just got used to the professor, or used to taking tests at college. So I managed to kind of pick and choose as I got older and got more experienced which tests I felt I really needed extra time on and which ones I didn't. And my professors were all really good about signing what they needed to sign and doing all that kind of stuff. But self-advocacy was probably the most important thing, I would say, that Noble Academy taught me as far as going to college, and not just for communicating with the Office of Disability Services, but also communicating with my professors about what I needed. Sometimes they would forget things, and I would have to send what felt like 100 emails before they would get something. But if that's what it took, then I might have pestered a few of my professors just a little, but the intended result was worth it.
As a parent, on the first family weekend they had, and I think we're talking a lot about UNCG, so one of the things I want to do is talk about the others, some of the other schools we visited. But I do want to say that I attended a class, and you could do that on the first family weekend. And that, I think, was the best thing I got done as a parent, because I could see the interaction of the professor with the students, and it was in the dorm. It was a class that was in the Ashby College. And to see his interest in these freshmen was so rewarding. And Sean, I think, the class with him now. And then to see him, if the kids had questions after class, he was there to answer them. And that really impressed me. The other colleges, we visited Guilford, Lynchburg, Roanoke, we were all over the place, Catawba, and I don't think there was a school we went to that we weren't impressed. I really have to say that. Did you agree?
Yeah.
We really liked them all, and the things we liked about all of them was that they really seemed to have a personal interest in each student. And I think one of the reasons is they want their graduation rates to stay strong. And they know if the students are involved and successful, they have a good chance to graduate. But if they're not involved and they're failing, they're not going to stay. So I heard this in every school we went to. They're very interested in these students personally. So I think you would get it in many of the colleges that are in our local area. You know, I don't know much about outside of our local area.
I mean,
Because I think that's the first.
growing up we're in Virginia.
Yeah, but most of the state of North Carolina. And we thought Catawba was particularly in North Carolina as a small school, excellent. But
Where's the school?
it's in Salisbury, Catawba.
Which state? I'm from Mass.
North Carolina, it's only about an hour away, so you're not far to get to your student if you need to. The only thing I did not do there, we did not meet with the disability office. And I would suggest any school you go to, that you and your student meet with the disability office, so you get a sense of how involved they're going to be with your student. All right, I'm taking.
We're almost at the end of our time. Are there any other questions?
Actually, Nancy, my name is very much alike.
Are we out? No, we have maybe 5 minutes. So.
I guess I use this statistic, and I think it's still true that 50% of college freshmen don't make it out of the first year. And I think that that's probably more true of larger schools where they don't have that personal connection. But I'm just interested, coming from Noble Academy, thinking back to your freshman year, was there a point when you were just questioning, can I make it? Or did you feel like you were prepared academically, socially, speaking up for yourself, that kind of thing? Did you have that almost crisis moment, or was it?
It's funny you asked that because my mom was reminding me last night of how in middle school she agonized over whether I was going to college or not. Because I couldn't remember 5 things for a test, so we had to study for hours and hours and hours. She likes to remember these things. Mothers. No, I really didn't doubt, and it's probably because I really didn't think that much about college until 10th grade. And for my family, it was never an option. It was always you were going to college. And so I just thought, okay, that's where I'm headed, that's my goal. And so I never really thought about what if I can't. And I feel like a lot of that was due to my environment in high school. I feel like the teachers really supported me, encouraged me, gave me the tools I needed practically, but were also very good moral support for me. So I never doubted myself because of them largely.
Myself, there was never an issue. I maintained a 3.0 because of the study skills that I learned here, and I just didn't want to go back with my parents.
Did you entertain going to school out of your home state?
Well, yes and no, because of in-state tuition is a big help for many schools, private and public.
But from a parent's point of view, sometimes you would pay that extra money to get them. Please, what are my children? Just please, go.
I mean, I went to school not even 15 minutes down the road from my house. My parents called me regularly. I usually never called them. So it wasn't really an issue for me and my family. No, I just, because, North Carolina's got a lot of great schools, so it's kind of hard to branch
Well,
out.
plus, we would be out of state.
Mhm.
But, and that's one of the good things about being here at Noble is that there's a lot of them to look at.
I mean, like, High Point's got a lot of Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York students that come from all over just to be there. And my freshman year, there was a student from Alaska. So it's just point of preference.
So if I'm back home, they could be one of those students.
I have a question regarding disabilities. As you got older, you went through college, you got a job, have you noticed changes in how your disabilities affect you? And have they improved? Have they gotten worse? Have they changed? What have you noticed about it?
I feel like the standard for how I have to deal with disability stays the same, but the circumstances change. Like right now, I'm a teacher, much different from being a student in a way, but my organizational problems still follow me a little bit. So the ideas for handling those are largely the same: making lists, making organizers, putting sticky notes in places where I know I'm going to be regularly. But it's a different circumstance. However, the rules were still the same and are still